Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, Podcast Pete and lifestyle coach. Well, we're close to turning the year, and your mindset for the next year is going to be important. Keep your mind open, look for your belief systems to be challenged, grow, and if you can do it through podcasting, your year is going to be abundant, your future is going to be bright. Stay with me. I got a gift for you. I want to help you understand my mindset shift over 400, 500 podcasts and numerous videos and 9 courses. What I've learned. And what I've learned, I want to pass on to you so you can do it in a shorter time frame, do it more effectively, and leverage my lessons, my failures to help you move faster in 2026. All right, let's get going. All right, I'm going to first, let me get this a little bit bigger. Yes, okay. Podcasting powered influence. Podcasting powered influence. From local impact to global influence. People often ask me, why do you do so many podcasts? Because it's our flywheel. I learn, I grow, I build relationships, and I create content, assets, all in one podcast. So I'm leveraging my time. And I want to give you enough to understand the impact that you can make. If you don't look at podcasting as just creating content, it's well beyond that. I had a gentleman that said, I've done a lot of podcasts and I don't know if I've gotten any business. And he probably hadn't. But that's not the point. When you're thinking that your content is going to get you business, you're thinking more transactional. It's a long-term relationships. It's building those assets. Assets grow. Activities don't. When you go to an event, it's an activity. When you go to a B&I meeting, that's an activity. When you are doing something when you go to lunch, nothing wrong with lunches, or coffee, you start, you end. That's an activity. When you create a podcast, that's an asset. Assets grow, seeds grow. And when you have the ability to build a relationship, to learn, solve, the curiosity is incredible in the learning, and build an asset, connect that person with somebody in your community, add value, then you've done something powerful. That's why we do so many podcasts. It's why we teach people to do podcasts, because it allows you, whether you're a guest, a host, or developing key strategic partners, either one, it starts with a podcast. It starts with your story. When people are guests on my podcast, I try to immediately connect them to people they like to know. So we are, from the beginning, creating an asset. I'm learning their story, and I get a sense of who they serve so I can better serve them. And once that's happened, it's an asset. You can search me, put Pete Kane, Kane, put the word podcast. We'll put some things in the show notes too, because when you see my profile, I have 5 pages, a lot more content than you need to have, but I did it to build the community. We're now building communities, which when you look at the stories, you're building trust. And building trust on your podcast allows you to get to know people, and you're creating those assets. But our community of school starts the path of belonging. So every podcast, we're going to be connecting you to people in our community. You get to belong to a community of impact, of global influence. Doesn't happen right away. It takes time. Anything worthwhile is going to take you time. That's why having the right mindset allows you to move from that transactional activity mindset to a different one, a long-term, a servant, add value, help each other, have impact. And when you have that kind of mindset, you're positioned for the future. You're allowing yourself, and let's just say, for whatever reason, I want to live in Miami for a couple of years. I could go down there and start a business. I have location freedom. What does that mean? When I meet somebody and we have a good conversation and I've built up curiosity, like we all need to do, because if they're not interested in you, they're not going to go on a journey with you, that's for sure. But if we build curiosity, we have an interesting conversation, the person asks for my card, they search me online, they're going to see plenty of content to get to know, like, and trust. So I don't have to build anything because I have an online platform that's global. So when you search your name, what comes up? Do you have enough content out there? So if somebody wants to go on a journey with you, they can. Most don't. So that's where the opportunity lies. Be a guest on my podcast. Let me learn about your story. Let me learn where I can add value to you, connect you up with people in our community, because that asset will grow. When you're creating assets versus activities, your business is going to be stronger and it's going to be more long-term. So if I want to live in LA for a year or two, I could. If I wanted to live in the Caymans for a year or two, I could, because I have freedom of location. And when you have that, you're not tied to a local area. So when we talk about local impact and global influence, gives you the ability to live anywhere in the world, because this podcast can be enjoyed by my team in the Philippines, Trexa and Rolando. They are 13 hours ahead. I don't know how many thousands of miles, but now we are global. So if you act local, think global, and you understand the difference between an asset and an activity, your future will be bright. The journey, we have a very clear path for our people. Starts with a podcast. That's first. Then we create that asset. I learn. I get to be able to connect with a person because I have half hour getting to know your story. That way I can see who I can introduce you to. You'll get an invite to join SCORE. When you join SCORE, I'll further connect you with people. Everybody in our community has their community. So together we're better. Together we're better. Community. There's no such thing as a solo entrepreneur. It's a team. And developing your community is part of our journey, part of how we add value to you to help your business grow. Because if you're just creating content, you're going to burn out. You can't create enough content. But if you do it on purpose, with the idea of learning, sharing, being able to add value to people, create that asset versus that activity, you're planting seeds, and those seeds grow. So when you look at the community part, we use SCORE. We have other ways that we connect with community, but that's our main one. starting in 2026. Thank you to Jim Fuse for introducing me to it. And the transformation is possible. When you look at the transformation, I have 9 courses. Some of them are 5-session courses. Some of them are 12. But those are those long-term. It's the engine to our community. So you first start with a podcast. That creates an asset. That creates a learning opportunity. That creates a way I can connect you to the next, which is a community. Together we're better. Adding value. Having either can be a guest on a podcast, be a host, or have strategic relationships, partnerships. And that's possible. Just because you're a guest on a podcast, a couple podcasts, doesn't mean it's going to change your business. It doesn't work that way. And when you have in-person workshops, it's hard for people to get around in this town. And you're asking people on a Saturday to come to your workshop, you're going for the small 1 or 2% that are ready. What about the 98% that are not? So you got to bring it to them online. So you got to have workshops, but that's the way you educate people. You educate people with the online, because I can have people joining my workshop from the Philippines, from LA, from Canada, from Latin America, anywhere in the world. When you're tied to a location, not only have a challenge in the area you are, especially Atlanta, we own traffic. And if you're asking people to get on the highway and maneuver the traffic, you're talking about running uphill, because it's going to be an uphill battle. But if you have it online where they can get on from the comfort of their home, learn, gain confidence, you're able to take them on a journey. And everybody's on a journey. We like to say that everybody has a local sandbox, 140 people that we know, like, and trust. Now, play in the global sandbox where you can gain influence over billions. Yes, billions. Because if people are going on a journey, which we use 7-11 for, Daniel Priestley's, people have to consume 7 hours of you, 11 buying signals or interest signals, and 4 different platforms. A book is a platform, a podcast, a workshop, a webinar. Those are all different platforms. When that happens, this is digitally, the brain just clicks. And now it knows, likes, and trusts, because you've gone on the journey. You've gone on the journey to know them. You've showed interest, 11 interest signals, and 4 different platforms. When you get a book, you're able to consume that person, get to know that person through their book. That's why we promote people or encourage and have a path to writing a book. Because I just got Daniel Priestley's new book, Lifestyle Business, and it talks about what I'm just sharing with you. He can work from anywhere in the world. He can take his kids to school. He can do whatever he wants because he's got location freedom. He's got time freedom. He's got financial freedom. And there's probably another freedom, creative freedom. He has them all. And he's living the life that we all would love to have. Freedom is the number one thing everybody wants. If you can have location freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, and creative freedom, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Then the expansion from transformation to expansion is the coaching, your signature talks, and being a global influence. We do signature talks every 60 days, 5 minutes, 3 points. We want you to have 3 of them so you can deliver talks, speak from a platform. And you have to work on it. It doesn't just fall out of the sky, hit you, and got it down. Repetitions. That's why I've done so many podcasts. That's why I've done so many live events, to get better, because it's always getting better. You're always getting better. Let me put this up here. Okay. This is something that we'll make available to you, but we want you to understand the podcast powered influence funnel. And it's so important to understand why. Why do we invite people to be on our podcast? Why do I get to know them? Why do I connect them? Why do I encourage them to be in our community so I can further add value to them to help their business grow? Everybody's doing podcasts. Everybody gets an opportunity to be a host and a guest and form strategic partnerships. So those three things happen, but they happen with a podcast. So that's why I'm going to encourage you to be a guest on my podcast. Scan the QR code. Scan the QR code and go ahead and let me see. Yes, here we go. And go to pkane.me and schedule a time to be a guest on the podcast so I can introduce you to our community. I get to know your story. I get to know who you serve. I get to further help you become that global influence. It takes time, but most people have that ceiling, that local ceiling. They're playing in the local sandbox where they have 150 people, 140 people that know, like, and trust them. And if they just transform and go into the global big sandbox where there's billions of people, you now can create demand. Because to have a healthy business, you have to have demand. Supply and demand doesn't change in anything you do. High demand, limited supply, healthy business. High supply, little demand, you're out of business or you got a hobby, either one. But you don't have a healthy business because your ability to create demand. That's why we do podcasts, to build our assets, to build our global demand. We want you to go from that local sandbox of 140 people to billions. While you're sleeping, you're creating opportunities for people to go on a journey with you. 11, buying signals, interest signals. 7 hours. When you're reading a person's book, say it takes 3 hours to read the book. That's 3 of the 7. When you are doing a workshop, a webinar, a podcast, authoring a book that helps people get to know you, then they're going on that journey. While you're sleeping, they're reading your book. While you're sleeping, they're listening to your podcast. While you're sleeping, they may be attending your workshop. They're getting to know, like, and trust you through your content because they're interested. If somebody's not interested in you, they're not going to go on a journey with you online. So when you go from a local impact and you're a leader in your local and you have 150 people that know, like, and trust you, and you stay in that local sandbox, you're giving up the 80%, the global sandbox of billions that could go on a journey with you. So when you were putting a podcast out there, we want people to start the journey. Start the journey with you. Get on the podcast. Be a guest. You can see our system. We have a system for everything that helps you to go from local impact to global influence. So this will be available. And let me just give you, for those that clarity session, for those that are not sure, like, what the heck are you talking about? Book a clarity session. I just put that QR code up. go to pkane.me/clarity and book a session. If I know you, I can help you. So book a clarity session. Be a guest on my podcast so I can introduce you to our community. And you can see this. We have this available for you. We want you to connect with us, and you can go right now, go to that QR code and you can connect with us, because I want to give you a free course, a course that'll help you learn and grow. And if you go to connect, here it is, go to pkane.me/connect. Use the word podcast and you can get my 12-session high performance mastery course, where I'm going to share how clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. Clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. And then it gets into the mastery of the persuasion mastery, physiology mastery, psychology mastery, productivity mastery, purpose mastery. This will help you have a banner year. Start the journey of learning. Start the journey of your personal growth. Because the 4 human drivers are personal growth, meaningful pursuit, connections, meaningful connections, and with that, the aliveness that comes when you're growing, when you're learning, when you're connecting, when you have a purpose. That's one of my talks. So go to pkane.me/connect. We want you to have the best year ever. Have an abundant future by getting on that path. Podcast starts with a podcast. And we look forward to having you on our podcast so I can introduce you to my community and connect you with people that can serve you, help you, support you, and help add value to you, because together we're better. So